Welcome back to our buyers series. We are back with Andy Prasky, leader of the preferred home team with Remax Advantage Plus, and one of his colleagues on the same team with the same brokerage, Abby Tomassoni. Abby, did I say your name right?
No, but that's okay.
Okay, you tell me, what is it?
It's Tomassoni. It was very close.
Okay. I always feel bad if I say the wrong pronunciation of someone's name, but it's better for you to say it because then people can hear it directly from you.
Nobody says it right.
Well, we're here to talk because Abby has worked with so many buyers over the last couple of years as the market has gone crazy, as the market has shifted. And she has a ton of insight on what that means for people who are considering buying now or maybe considering buying in the next 6 to 12 months. And so we brought her here to chat. Andy also has a ton of experience, especially on the seller side. So they complement each other with their knowledge base. Andy bringing more knowledge on the listings and the offer side for sellers, and Abby having that negotiating experience for buyers. So welcome.
Thank you.
So Andy, before we dive in, why don't you just give a little brief background on who you are and what you do?
Oh, sure. Andy Prasky, been around 110 years in real estate. No, it's been a long time. I think I joined back in the around 2000-ish, somewhere around there. Made a decision that when I was buying a house with my wife, I went to a referred agent that was a friend of ours, friend of family member, right? And push, buy this, buy that. This is gonna be gone if we leave the driveway. Somebody else is gonna write an offer. And I was like, this guy is such a jerk that I almost want to just keep wasting his time. Of course, I'm a little bit, if anybody that knows me knows that I kind of resist the system a little bit. And I was like, you know what? I could do so much better than this. And I literally convinced myself that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get my license and I'm going to be better than this. I can do better than this. So he was an inspiration, this agent that was an old school, sold a ton of houses, but he didn't want us to waste his time. So I've learned over the years that being a pushy salesman in this business is the opposite of what I've always wanted to be. I've always wanted to be kind of the heart of an educator, where I embrace education and information. And then, so that's why we're doing a show like this, is really to just give everybody a chance to hear the insiders' opinions of what's going on, and then they can make their own decisions. People are smart. I mean, if you're smart enough to have a job and get a mortgage and all that stuff, you're smart enough to make a decision. So we just guide you along and help you make the choice that's right for you and your family. So I don't know if that's enough about me.
I think so. And Abby, how did you start working with Andy?
Well, I've known the Praskys for 15 probably years-ish.
Oh, wow.
When my sister got a house, we met them, and my uncle had known them prior to that. So kind of a long history there.
Mom and dad helped. I mean, we helped her whole family.
Wow.
Yeah.
I knew Abby when she was very young, when she was a very ambitious young lady working her way through high school.
So
it's a long story. When you hire us, we'll tell you all the details. But for right now,
so yeah, we go way back. I couldn't work with a better group of individuals, and so then when I bought my house a few years back, of course, we came back to the Prasky team, and I was actually a social worker at that time. Loved the concept of working with people and being hands-on in that sense, but wasn't loving kind of what I was taking home every day. And so went through my own transaction. I always worked sales kind of on the side. I kind of saw real estate as being kind of like Andy said, people being pushy and kind of cold. Went through the process myself and realized it is what you make it. It doesn't have to be cold. And there's a lot of connections you form during that time. And so that brought a lot of meaning to me of, knowing that I could go and help families, individuals, whatever it might be, during happy times, during sad times, all of that. So,
and the funny part about the two of us is that, so knowing her when she was a young kid, right? I mean, and obviously now a very successful real estate adult agent. And the interesting part I always found about Abby was she's so inquisitive. She was, even when she was young and chewing her bubble gum and talking about the concert she went to, she would ask a question like, well, isn't the square foot price on this house off? And I'm like, wait a minute. Dude, oh my God, I loved it. It was fantastic. She would ask questions that adults would ask. And I was like, huh. And I always joked with her about it. I said, hey man, boy, this might be your calling. You get to drive around and open up doors and show houses. And anyway, we made it work. It was, it was a lot of fun. And now I proudly brag that she's one of the best agents I've worked with in a long time. Detail orientated to the point of where it's almost exhausting for me because I'm not as detail orientated. I'm kind of like the let's go 100 miles an hour and get the deals done. I'm like, okay, stop. And then I listen and I go, okay, can you explain to me how the well works or what the breakdown of the chemicals in the well are? And I'm just like, hey, failed, let's go, So it's kind of fun. We're
balance each other very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Abby, tell us a little bit about what you're seeing in the market and how this slowdown or shift on the fast speed has affected the experience for your clients.
I personally think it's a much better experience. I've seen everything within the last few years, lots of emotions, lots of ups and downs, lots of things to celebrate. But it was challenging for a lot of buyers. And I do feel like, a few months back, 6 months, a year, a little bit over that, I think one occasion someone got their offer accepted the first time. And that was because they did, they did everything. No inspection, didn't ask for the association docs, even technically not supposed to do that, but, did literally everything he possibly could to get it. He wanted it, he knew it. Other than that, everybody kind of had the one offer at minimum that they had to learn, and you can see what you want as a real estate agent, but also you don't want to speak too much. And then, they do offer 40,000 over and they go, wait, did I need to do that? It's like, once you experience it yourself, you get a groove. I can provide as much advice, but they almost need to experience hands-on to kind of have learned. Shifting to now, I was at a showing this weekend down in Burnsville where there were multiple showings happening, but it was also the price point of the house being under 300, but things have calmed quite a bit. I have definitely gotten a couple buyers and under asking, some seller contributions towards closing costs. Everyone's had an inspection recently, so it's been a lot more relaxed in that sense and a lot more buyer friendly to be able to make sure they actually like the house. It's one they want versus kind of the panic shopping before of, oh my gosh, I need to just put an offer in and see where it goes.
Well, and guys, I think the weird thing about it is that, this was the first time I was ever in a market where it wasn't really economy driven. It was more supply and demand where it was people weren't like, oh, I feel so good about myself, I'm going to go buy a house that resembles my happiness. It was more or less okay, we're stuck with COVID. Kids got to study somewhere. I don't have a place for them to study. I work from home. My husband works from home, whatever the deal was. And so our spouse and so you'd go back to, and then we had our empty nesters that completely froze. There's two parts of the market I really saw freeze. Anybody that would refinance and finance down to threes, right? Their payment would get so low that when they would shop for a new place, their expenses were going to double. And they were like, oh, whoa. And some people are okay with it. So some people did move or they upgraded. They bought their dream house. They built a house. I saw a ton of the empty nesters, though, freezing up, too, saying, okay, so my house is worth $500,000. I always thought it was worth $300,000. Now it's worth $500,000. But to go from my big 2-story down to a 1-level slab on grade home is about $500,000. So I'm going to switch to this big, beautiful house for this little house. A lot of people didn't move. A lot of people just paid off their houses, renovated, and stayed put. And so there was this big lack of inventory that's out there. And I think everybody keeps trying to compare today's market back to 2008. That you guys, our market currently, like we were talking about this last week, inventory is up like 30%, but we're still half of where we were in 2019. We have nothing for sale right now compared to where we were. So we're not flooding the market with a bunch of overpriced houses. That's not the case at all.
Well, I was gonna say, another thing I want to add too is I know just rental rates increasing too has been a big thing too. I mean, one of my friends was helping her kind of look for an apartment. She's not quite ready to get a house, and she has a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 1-stall apartment like living, and it's over $1,700 a month. It's like, for that price, let's look at even a townhome. Let's get you ready for a single family home, whatever that might be, to kind of help you gain equity and actually have something to look back on.
Yeah. We can't hear you, Courtney.
Sorry. What are buyers looking for today? I know, a year ago, it was more of that work from home life, the school from home or potential school from home. Is that still what they're looking for? Are people thinking they're still going to be working from home and needing the 2 offices?
I'm seeing a lot of double offices. I'm seeing still the kind of continued demand for, we want our own space, whether that's a yard, whatever, if we're ever stuck at home again, if we're working from home, if we're schooling from home, just having space around the house, the offices, dual kind of living spaces of a living room and a family room somewhere else, or a loft and yards, all of that. So yeah, absolutely.
So it is still trending then in more of that direction of specific spaces within the home for specific uses? It's less of that open concept that's trending right now.
People still like the open concept to an extent. I feel like it's kind of right in the middle, finding where it's not too open. You still get the separation. I don't know, Andy, what's your kind of thoughts on that?
I see a lot of, and it's kind of interesting how we have so many cool cultures in our Twin Cities market, right? And you see some of these cultures, they're coming from, they're first generation Americans, and they want formal dining, or they want an area for just the men to hang out and have the women to hang out in the back of the house. And so there's different cultures that we're seeing integrated into our, culture right now. And it's awesome. We love it, because all of a sudden now that house that used to have the formal dining, there was like, what do we do with this space? We don't know now it's like it's in demand. I mean, there's people that I advertise on the listing, formal dining. I'll get people to call me just because it's the first house they've seen in 6 months with formal dining. So that's an exciting part of our housing inventory that we have right now that we're bringing to the marketplace. There are new buyers entering the market that actually have the needs of some of this older style of house, which we thought as old as more traditional. And now they're going back to traditional, not just the big open room where everybody screams and yells and eats food and watches TV in the same room.
So I have a question for both of you on that, and it's a little out of left field. Do you think that as boomers continue to get older, the boomer generation that has more of those traditional style homes, that they'll start to downsize, or do you think they're going to continue to stay in those homes for the rest of their lives? Will we see more of that on the market, or do you think not for a long time?
Andy, do you want to go first? Do you want me?
Go ahead. I'd like to hear your spin on it.
Well, so coming from like my social work background and I'm a very needs-based person, buyer-wise, seller-wise, everything, thinking how realistic is it for them to stay in their homes? Are they going to have to get the elevator to go up the stairs? Are they able to stay? I mean, I think a lot of people are naturally going to be forced out of their homes, just with natural aging. For the ones that those aren't the circumstances, I think they're going to stay put. I think a lot of people, I know my grandma, I was just talking to her, she's mad that butter, whatever sticks of butter she gets from Aldi's went from $1.49 to like $1.89 or something. And that kind of stuff scares her. And I think a lot of people are in that mentality of save, conserve, all that. So I think a lot of it's going to be more needs-based. I don't know, Andy, what do you think?
100% agree. And I think that there's not only that, I think that, if you look at today's society and the Twin Cities market, specifically Minnesota, over 40% of the houses, you guys, are paid for free and clear. That's usually not Abby's age group. Maybe it is, but most of it's not Abby. It's usually Abby's parents, Abby's grandparents, the 60 plus crowd that they're not moving and they're staying put and everything's paid for. And that's the high amount of no mortgage in the state of Minnesota. It's crazy. It's hard to move from no mortgage to mortgage, or to have where now you're still living in that house and now you're paying $8,000 a year in taxes and you're on a fixed income. And so what I do see is I get to the point of where people hang on as long as they can. Usually it's the maintenance that pushes them out, because they like to keep their yard a certain way. And once they feel like that, I can't do it anymore, I can't keep it to the level I want to keep it. And if I hire somebody, they'll never keep it as nice as I did. I want to sell it at its peak. And I see a lot of that right now. I'm seeing a lot of where even, people in their 50s like me, where they're saying, hey, kids are off to college. Let's make the move now and get to not downgrading. I mean, I see a lot of my friends that are moving to luxury detached townhouses. I mean, they're spending $1 million on them. They're moving to the lake. They're buying $800,000 cabins. They're not spending money. It's more of they're just moving to something that's easier for them to live the lifestyle, not have to keep up with all the work. The days of seeing mom out on 8 acres out in the country mowing grass all day long is gone. I don't see that as much as I used to. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. Friends of ours actually are doing that right now. Their youngest just graduated from high school and is off to college, and they're empty nesters now, kind of. And they just don't want the yard maintenance anymore. They don't use it. Their kids are grown, and so they're going to move to a townhouse. So I see it with people that I know too, and it's kind of crazy, because you think when you're younger, you think you just want the house with the yard, you want the space and all of that, but that's not the end all be all for every stage of your life.
Well, what's nice though about buying somebody empty nester's house? They probably redid the windows. They probably have the best insulation in the attic. They just redid the furnace. They bought the nicer, more efficient water heater. It's kind of a great environment we're in, where you as a younger buyer want to buy a beautiful house and grow a big family in, right? They love that house, so they did everything right for it. And so existing house market, I think that's why there's so much demand on that inventory as well, is because these houses aren't being left in shambles anymore. These are
Mhm.
houses where the people have extra money. So, yep, let's put on the 4-season porch, the brand new deck, the outdoor kitchens. And then they're selling these houses at 150,000 less than what you could even come close to doing it new.
Mhm.
And they're in great shape, and they're usually in better neighborhoods. So I'm excited about the existing inventory markets as we, are kind of going into some new territory with pricing and interest rates. I think that demand will continue to stay solid in the inner city areas.
So speaking of pricing and the future, what are you guys seeing and predicting for pricing for 2023? I know that there is some difference depending on who you ask, but on average, the big names are predicting about 2% growth next year for home prices.
I mean, regardless, the demand is still there. Again, rentals being one, the pricing of that going up, just natural demand in general. People, who are divorcing, people who are growing their families, deaths, whatever that might be, is going to continue moving the market regardless.
Well, and I think a big part of this too is going to be based on interest rates, you guys. So if we see interest rates drop, I think these numbers will go up significantly because the people still want to buy. There's not enough out there to buy. There's more buyers than there are sellers. And so the appreciation, the value, the pressure on values is 100% because of the supply and demand that's being played.
It's interesting. It feels a little bit unpredictable right now. Is that what your buyers or sellers are feeling too? Is that, I don't know what to do? And how do you reassure them when that is their feeling?
Well, sellers, they come to us and say, well, I don't want to miss the boat because when the housing market crashes, and I'm like, I know that there's a lot of, it's kind of like, you get that instinct, right? When you see clouds coming and you think there's a storm coming, it's just different this time. We've never seen this much equity in the average homeowners. I mean, this year, Twin Cities, so far this year, the average Minnesota family's made $28,000 of appreciation in their houses. They're still making money, guys. And all these ratings on the news where they're saying, Miami's down 20% down on appreciation. The houses are still appreciating. Everything, we're fine. We're just, here's what's going to happen. They're trying to set panic across the bow. They're trying to, for whatever reason, I don't know why they keep trying to do this. Housing is still a fantastic investment. I think that there are great opportunities. I tell everybody, don't overextend yourself just to get a deal. Be patient. If you can wait it out, maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's 8 months from now, if rates come down, I think you're going to see even more pressure on new construction again. I think new construction is going to kind of get caught with its, not prepared. There's an analogy I was going to use, but it's inappropriate. They're going to not be ready because they've cut back on all their development right now. They're anticipating a slow year coming up. So there's a few projects being developed as we speak. A lot of them, they just said, we'll just wait. Well, it takes a year it's a slow moving train. It takes a long time for development to get through the process, right? So usually it's a 2-year process. So when they hold back and all of a sudden, let's say rates do drop down back into the 4s or 5s, and that makes all of those beautiful houses affordable again, people prefer new. They, a lot of times they'll go for new if they can afford it. But it's going to require that rate to soften a little bit, I think. And then also new could be busy and they're not going to be ready. So the prices aren't going to come down there either. So people keep walking into model homes saying, oh, we're expecting big discounts. The builders are like, I got 3 houses for sale. Which one do you want?
Well, I think what it comes down to too is working with an agent that understands what's going on in the market, that knows what is changing and how it's going to affect you, and is going to just kind of guide you through the process, whether you're going to buy in a month or you're going to buy in 12 months or even further out than that.
Right.
So choosing your team is just so important.
I agree 100%. And I would say one last quick thing, and not to jump on Abby's thought she was going to throw in there. When we're looking at houses and they're going to marketplace right now, guys, I, as a listing agent, that's how I predominantly hang my hat. I look at strategy and I look at what's available for sale. What have other houses sold for? I am taking the legs off, guys. What I mean by that is that house that listed at 500 that sold for 550, I'm going back to 505. And I'm saying, okay, since then it's been 2% appreciation. So let's list at about 512 and we're still getting multiple offers. We're almost getting 550. So if you price correctly, you'll create a lot of interest, which is important because at that time of listing, if you don't have demand, if you don't have that interest level of your specific property, not the whole Twin Cities, not the United States, you need to worry about your individual marketing plan. And if you position it correctly, we're still selling properties in a day with multiple offers over list price. But here's the thing, we're pricing them correctly. So like I get somebody smart like Abby that comes along and says, hey, Andy, this house last year was $550 and I listed at, $510. She's all over it. And so she might offer over list price, right? But they're not paying as much as everybody paid last year. Mm-hmm. So it still looks like they're getting a discount. You got to do the math. You got to do, I always say do a complete market analysis of the property before you make your move.
Abby, how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about the process and working with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I always say get in touch as soon as possible, whether you're not looking for 6 months, 12 months, whatever it might be. Just kind of sit down on the table, talk about what you're looking for, talk about the current climate market, where things might be headed, and just kind of be able to better understand their needs. So they can call me at 763-234-9123. I'd love to chat, sit down for coffee anytime, and just kind of start that process going. And what I do want to add, when Andy was talking, I think a lot of people think buyers are very scared right now. There aren't buyers out there. There are still plenty of buyers. I am still working with them. Some buyers are truly like, this is what I want, I'm going to go for it. And some of them do get in the multiple offers like Andy's explaining. And some of my buyers are a little bit more shy of, well, the interest rates got a little bit steeper on me. I want to target a house that's not going to have quite as much interest. And so there's so many different ways to kind of strategize and look at things to find what's best going to fit their needs and kind of their comfort.
Yeah, you're bringing up a great point, Abby. I think that a lot of people that still need a house, right?
Yeah.
And so if their payment, their goal is $2,500 or $3,000 or whatever the number is for their payment, right? Everybody's different. I've got some people buying them at $6,000 a month right now. I've got some people buying them at $1,800. So, payments are such a subjective thing. But when rates go up, all that happens is the pricing gets adjusted on your loan, right? So the cost to buy that house is just a little bit higher per month. If it's $200 more per month, but it's worth it to you, well, then you make the decision to pull the trigger and move forward. Because like Abby and I always tell everybody, you marry the house, you date the rate. Because you can always refinance down the road. You can always, as long as you get the right house, the right location to meet your family's needs, you're going to be happy.
I think that's great advice and great information. If you would like to learn more about the process of buying a home, we've linked the buyer's book below. It is totally free. There's no obligation. You can just download it from the link below. If you'd like to get in touch with Andy, we'll also add his info below the video. Thanks so much, guys.
All right. Request that book. You'll love it.
We're here to help.